this, and this. And is YouTube doing it? Move the microphone. There we go. YouTube is doing it, which means that so are we. Hello, my loyal specs. Welcome back again for another D&December video. Today we are talking about your player character. I've missed several days of putting the videos up in time, but it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. So, today we're working on, or rather, we're looking at the player character that I've played the longest with all at once. Hello everybody, thanks for coming by and hanging out. It's super cool of you. So, let's talk about the current player character that I've got in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, Atlas Lucky Lecturn. Atlas is a bard. We started out at level 1, and he's gone all the way up to level 9 now. And in the interim between level 1 and level 9, a lot of stuff has happened to him. His main story is that when he was a significantly younger person, well, when he was a significantly younger person, he met a lady out in like a glade in the forest who taught him how to take the music that he knew how to play and infuse it with magic-type words. And that's where he had his bardic abilities awakened, and he began on his journey as a bard. Because before that, he's just an entertainer. Traveled with a troupe for a little while. Played a lot of music, told a lot of stories. But then this lady showed him that the stories that he was telling, the music that he was playing, if he did it just slightly differently, then he could use them to do magic, which was something completely new to him, and so he got, like, super obsessed with it, like, super hard. But for the longest time, he did not want other people to know that he was using magic, because it was a sort of pride thing where it's like, well, I understand that I can use magic, but if I can't enthrall my audience without magic, then it's not real, it's not an actual good performance. It's just me tricking them into liking what I do because I use magic on them. Where the real performer would use their music or their storytelling or whatever and actually enthrall the people because it's a good performance. So for the longest time, Atlas did not tell his party that he could do magic. It took till like level 4 or 5 or something to let the rest of the party know that there was magic involved. Because a lot of the stuff that he was doing, it was just like, but I had some magic dust that conveniently replicates the fairy fire spell, or I don't know, I'm just lucky to be around, or I don't know. So he pulled a lot of that for a while. Turned out quite a lot of fun, actually. When it finally did get revealed that he could do magic, they were in the Thieves Guild of the town. So it was, the party at the time was Atlas, our monk Hasid, our sorcerer Kare, our priest Ezrith. Was that it? I don't remember if Ezrith and Dragor were there yet. Maybe it was actually our other priest, Essia. Forget who was there. It's probably Essia. Well, in any case, there were some of us there, and the plan was we were supposed to go. It had to have been Ezrith and Dragor, which I'll get to in a sec. So the plan was we were supposed to go in to the Thieves Guild and pick up the things inside of a box and then leave. And we were given all the stuff necessary to go in, do that thing, and get out, not get in any trouble. We got this information from a gentleman who tried to kill us in a pub, who we then beat the shit out of, set on fire, watched burn to death, and then had Ezrith bring him back to life. It was good, you know? This other guy, his party consisted of him, a mercenary, and some kind of weird flesh-wearing demon or something like that. And, yeah, we do have a lot of magic-type people. 'Cause now our party is even different. I'll get to our new party composition soon, but... So, this gentleman met us in a bar, tried to kill us. We killed everyone else. Atlas stole some magic guns from one of the dead people. And this gentleman who is left over, the Happening, they called him. We killed him, brought him back to life, dragged him from the very jaws of death. And it turns out that when Ezrith cast the Revivify spell, she had to reach into the stream of life and tear his soul out from something else. Because apparently he'd made a deal with, like, a devil or something for when he died, and so Ezrith broke that contract for him. He immediately converted into being Ezrith's biggest follower, and, like, an acolyte of Palor, which is hilarious. That's happened a few other times now. We've killed somebody, brought them back, and then converted them to Ezrith's cult. Which, it's fine, it's great, right? But, so, he was part of the Thieves Guild, and he gave us his passcode to get in. Drew us a map and everything, and told us very specifically, when you go into the Thieves Guild, don't use your real name. At all. You have to use code names. Just use a code name. So, we had all of this. We went in, the map that he drew us was backwards, so it's like he had dyslexia, maplexia, or something like that, and we managed to figure the thing out. So, at the beginning of it, there's like a room where there's a bunch of tiles, and if you don't step on the tiles in the right order, then a door on the north wall opens and some bad stuff comes out of it, is what we assumed. He told us, like, yeah, this door is the bad door. Please do not do it. Good, yes. Don't open that door because you will have a bad time. And so we went through the entry bit, and we got to the place where we're supposed to take the stuff, and we sent Hasid, our monk, in because he's the sneakiest. And he walked in, and there was another thief in there. And he, opened the box, took the thing, looked at the other thief, and the other thief was like, "What's your name?" And Hasid, ever the quick one on the mind, goes, "The Wire." Yeah, alright. And then he just left. And the other guy was like, "Yeah, that's fine and everything. Cool, okay." But we got a little bit greedy, and so Atlas went in and was like, "There was another chest in here. This chest belongs to me. I need this open. The person who's given it to me didn't give me the key for it. Can you help me open it?" And I convinced this other thief to open the chest for me. And in the process of doing so, he triggered a trap that burned the crap out of him, so we put him back on the bed, took all of the loot that was in there, healed him a little bit, and then buggered off. But then we went further into the guild, because of course we did, because why wouldn't we? We got everything we came in there for. We had everything we wanted. We had everything we needed from there. We had the ledger that was in the box, we had a key, we had everything that was necessary. And yet, we went in further. We had killed 0 people at this point, but we went in further, and there was a bar. And so Corey, our naive sorcerer, bursts in first. So, boots the door open. There's like 5 people inside at this seedy-looking bar thing. Throws a bunch of fireworks everywhere, and says, "I'm Corey Dragon Slayer." Wait, no, I'm not. I'm Dragon's Tooth. And the barkeep is just like, "What is this?" And then we all attacked him. And it was like, they all attacked Corey because Corey didn't use her stupid code name. Oh, God. So, we had to fight, like, 6 people in a very small enclosed area. One of them had fireball and burned the shit out of a lot of us. Corey burned the shit out of a lot of us as well. That's when Corey learned that collateral damage is a thing. That was fun. But in any case, we killed all of those people. We took a bunch of stuff. We started to leave, and there were two more people. Two more thieves that were just kind of standing there, being like, the Thieves Guild has eyes everywhere, you guys. And we decided not to kill them. Probably not a problem. This isn't going to come back to bite us in the ass later or anything, no. But, so we went down and we got the stuff. We left those two people alive. We left them alive. And as we were leaving, you have to go back through that same room at the beginning with the tiles and all that. And it should just be that you run right through. But we decided that it was probably trapped the opposite direction as well. So we pulled the lever to start it, and so it was Dragor the Barbarian and me on this side of the thick stone door in that room, and everyone else was still behind us in the hallway. And the door shuts, and the other door, the bad stuff door, opens up, and there's a humongous stone golem inside. And it starts lumbering out, and it was like, oh, bugger, we're gonna die here, aren't we? So Atlas whips out his scroll of knock and slams his hand on the door behind him and opens that door. And up until that point, he'd been pretty okay with making sure that no one knew specifically that he was using magic. But to see the crackling energy peeling the text off of the scroll, and his hand on the door still wreathed in this, like, green, crackly energy from the scroll as the door opens by itself, it was just like, yeah, sorry guys, I've been lying to you. We don't have time to deal with this right now. Can we get out of here first, and then I'll explain everything? And they never explained anything. So, no one's called him out on it yet, and I'm glad about that. But it has also been like 5 levels since then, so I am hoping that that turned out okay. But so at that point, Atlas was a fully fledged adventurer. He has a loot, some scrolls, that kind of thing. It's his thing. Fast forward a bit to a little later on. We met a satyr a long time back. And due to some circumstances, Atlas has this necklace that has the satyr's, like, essence or being trapped inside of it, that he can release him for, like, 11 minutes at a time or something like that once a day. And so they did a tour of a bunch of inns and that kind of stuff, where he'd go up to the inn and be like, I'm gonna play some rad-ass music for y'all. Pops open the satyr. The satyr's music is magic to begin with, and so it forces everyone to, like, be more receptive and dance and party and that kind of stuff. And so they rock out on this, like, super cool magical tour, and the object of it was simply to use this amulet enough times that it breaks to get this satyr friend out. And we did finally end up doing it. And in the process, he opens this portal in the ground that looks like a puddle, you know, like some shimmering water. And the satyr pops up and he's like, "You wanna let's go," and then hops into the portal. And everyone else, we're out camping like in the middle of a field or something like that. And everyone else is like, "This is weird, right?" And Atlas is like, "Yeah, but don't worry about it. It's cool. He's my satyr friend," and jumps in. And so everyone jumps in after him. And it turns out that that was a portal to the Feywild, because of course it's a portal to the Feywild, which is the dimension, the plane of existence parallel to the normal one. What's up, Jacob? How's it going? But the Feywild is this plane of existence parallel to the material plane, which is where everyone lives. That is where fairies and junk come from. So, we all went into the Feywild, and then the satyr was like, "Wow, I'm glad that you guys got here on time. You are set to do a performance for the fairy court." And Atlas is like, "Excuse the fucking what? What am I supposed to do right now? Because you didn't tell me nothing about this before I jumped blindly into your portal." And he was like, "Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Just get to the place and do the performance. Okay, bye!" And buggers off. And so my entire party and I are just like, okay, so what do we do? Crap, this is bad. We end up cooking up this story that Atlas has to play on the lute and tell while everyone else acts it out in the background. And it's this mega epic story about how, like, the two brothers are rivals and they try to kill each other, but then they become better allies and they have to go off and stop the Dragon Queen or some BS like that. And it's supposed to be a metaphor for how the fairy folk should take kindlier to the people of the material plane because we really need their help right about now. And so we go and we get to the fairy court and we do this thing, and it's a skill challenge. So everyone throws like the most applicable skill that they can to the situation, and we managed to kill it. It was brilliant. It's just so good. And everyone in the Fey court was like, yes, well, of course, it's very good, I suppose. And we were bustled out. And then later on that night, the woman that taught Atlas the music way back at the beginning of his story shows up and is like, you did a good job. Glad you remembered those songs I taught you. And Atlas is like, but what? Oh, everything makes sense now. The lady that Atlas learned the music from 1,000,000 years ago was one of the ladies of the Fey court. I don't know yet whether it's actually like Titania, queen of the Fey court, or what. But, because we haven't gotten that far into the actual bit of this story yet. But, Atlas now has this like, Fey patron that's kind of, like, watching out for him and that kind of stuff. Which makes sense. He got his legacy item there. It's this sweet, lute that, when you play the specific songs on it, it evokes magic. Which is rad. It's super cool. Right now, it has the ability to cast Levitate, Invisibility, Confusion, and I unlocked it but can't use it yet. Storm of Ice, which is like Firestorm except for it does ice damage instead. Which is super cool. I'm excited for that. But, it came with invisibility, just right off the bat. And it was super cool. So, Atlas is still just, you know, a relatively normal person at this time. But we played a one-shot one time where Atlas was telling a story to a bunch of the other people in the party at an inn, because we were missing a player or something like that day, so we just played some one-shots. And the idea was that a bunch of adventurers go down into a crypt or something like that, and they meet a hag who, like this terrifying witch, that will grant them wishes in exchange for years of their life. And so, the character that I was playing, some knight or something like that, bargained 2 years of his life for a bunch of information. And, you know, okay, it was cool, all that happened and all that. That story, canonically, actually happened to Atlas. Atlas was the one who bargained away 2 years of his life, but due to the way that the one-shot is and all of that, he was telling it as a story because it wouldn't have been as interesting if he were the one to have done it. So, he's telling this story based off of his experience, and it was actually him that bargained his life away to this hag. So there's 2 years of his life hanging somewhere in the balance that belonged to this hag woman. With that in mind, our big villain of the whole campaign right now is Heron Suge, the Emerald Deceiver, who turns out to have been one of our previous party members. A rogue named Lucian, who, his player had to go back to America. She became a car salesman and is going to law school, which, yeah, that sounds like a rogue. But, that character turned out to have been Heron Suge, the Emerald Deceiver, the green dragon in this world, who was playing at being a person or something like that. And it turns out that there's been, like, hints dropped all over the place that Harinsuge is this big bad thing, and we finally figured all out about it from The Happening's notebooks. The Happening, who now has abandoned that title and has simply called himself by his name Jamas, who is currently running the, what he calls congregation, but what everyone knows is a cult, belonging to Ezrith. So, there's those 2 years of life in the balance. We'll leave that where it is. Atlas knows this lady named Yadris, who is a snake woman, essentially. She often will sell Atlas a bunch of, like, neat magic items and stuff like that. And so Atlas bought, he would make these investments where he'd give her several hundred gold or something like that and be like, get me something cool so that the next time you see me, you've got something rad. Well, one of the things that he got from her is a stone key that opens up a hole in a mountain way up in the north. And so his party, which at this time consisted of Atlas, Kore, Hasid, the monk, who else? Dragor the barbarian, Ezrith the priest, and also a recently gained ally, Vera the druid. We all went up to this cave, and we went inside, and there was another adventuring party there, and you had to do things sort of in tandem. So, like, there were 2 paths, and you both had to do things in the same ways to get to either sides of this other door, so that you could put your keys into it, open it up, and go into the last chamber. And we were told that there was a magnificent treasure inside. So, we go in, we do all the puzzles and stuff. Our barbarian wrecks a bunch of traps, and we go through it, and nobody really gets that hurt. And we finally get to the end bit, we open it up, and we go in, and there's this big room with a big dog statue. And there's a sign somewhere that says, like, don't touch the master's dog. It's like, okay. So, we're gonna touch the dog, right? So there's a platform, and then 15 feet of spikes, and then the rest of the floor. And the spikes are down in this, like, 10 feet deep pit. And so Dragor picks Atlas up and chucks him over the pit. And Atlas does, like, a superhero landing and a roll, and then looks over at the statue and is like, what is this statue all about? And he touches it, because of course he touches it, because, you know, and a beholder shows up. And a big fight ensues. We had a guest player that day. My dear friend George, who I went to college with, was over in Japan for a while, and he was like, can we get in on this D&D biz? And I was like, yeah, we totally can. So he was part of the other party. And the other party, Circle of Teleportationed out, but the beholder looked at him at the last second and kept him from teleporting out, because beholders can nullify magic by looking at stuff, because beholders are bullshit. But now we have him in the party, so we've got this rogue and our whole party, and we have to go in and we have to fight all this stuff, or fight this beholder, and nobody's doing a good job of it right now. Nobody's doing any real good damage to the beholder, because everybody keeps trying to cast magic on it when we know that the magic doesn't work. So Dragor the Barbarian is like, yeah, I got this. So he and Hasid go up and do their rad combo attack, the fastball special, because of course that's what they do. And they do a bunch of good stuff, but then the beholder starts using his eye beams, and beholder eye beams are terrifying. So Atlas sees that there are no eyes looking at him at that moment, so he casts Suggestion on the beholder and says, hey, look over at me for a second, I'm the real threat here, so that everyone else would have their chance, while the eyes aren't looking at them, to cast all the magic and do all the cool stuff to kill this bastard. Nobody did it. Nobody did any cool stuff at that point. The only thing that happened was, the beholder was like, you know what? That does make sense. turned all of his eyes on Atlas, and shot a death ray through his chest. And, as a result, Atlas died. He wasn't at 0 hit points and incapacitated, he was dead. It was a death ray. It blew a hole through his chest, and he died. So, that was fun. In the process of doing so, this was a pretty bad-looking fight, and so the priest Ezrith pulled out a contract that she had not yet signed from Batur, which is the hell of this universe, that was written by the demon Tyr. And the demon Tyr had in the past looked at Ezrith and said, "You got a lot of power in you. I bet you that I could make you have more power than this Palor sissy bullshit. If you sign this contract with me, you will be my charge, and I will lend you my powers and all that." And so, looking at how bad things were going, she whips out this contract and signs it. And immediately she gets all of her spells back. Her health goes back up to full. She gains, like, all of her channel divinities back and everything. She's fully healed, and she hears Tyr say, "Beat this thing and then we'll talk." And she's like, "Oh, you son of a bitch!" But now her alignment shifted from being neutral good to being neutral evil for the moment. And as a consequence of that, she knew that she needed me alive again. She needed Atlas alive because Atlas was a benefit to the combat. But she couldn't get to Atlas in time. So Dragor jumped over the pit, grabbed Atlas, and tried to throw his dead body back to over where Ezrith is. In the process of doing so, he goes, "Hup! Ha!" And then as he throws, the beholder hits him, and so Atlas tumbles into the spikes, and his dead body is now impaled on all of these spikes. And Dragor starts to turn to stone, which is not great, because that means that our only damage dealers left are the rogue that we have, and Hasid, who admittedly can do some good stuff. So Ezrith tries to vault over the spikes, but it's a 15-foot jump, and that is too far for a cleric wearing armor. So she jumps and lands on Atlas's body to save herself from being impaled and all that, because, you know, this makes sense. Atlas isn't using his body right now, so maybe I should. So Squish, further into the spikes, climbs up the rest of the way, and restorations Dragor so that he's back again. They finish the fight, they drag Atlas's body out of the spikes somehow, and then they put him on the ground, and they try to revivify him. He is dead. His soul has been taken down to Batur, and is hanging out with Tyr, because when they went to Batur earlier, Atlas failed a save, and so his soul had gotten tied to Tyr's domain or something like that. I'm still not quite sure how that happened, but I'll take it. You know, it makes for good drama. So his soul is currently in the balance, being hung, you know, with Tyr and all that at the time. So they go, shit, Atlas is actually dead. What do we do? And they bundle his body up, cast Gentle Repose on him, and bring him back to the main city where the Temple of Palor is, and ask the main high priest, who is this high-level paladin, to bring him back. In the process, they have to go and get a diamond worth 1,000 gold from the quote-unquote Mages Guild, and so he, the leader of the Mages Guild, asks them to fight a bunch of stuff and do a bunch of things for him. In the process, they end up having to kill a kill a devil, cut its heart out and give it to the Mages Guild in exchange for this 1,000 gold diamond that they bring back. They bring Atlas back to life. So Atlas is back to being a normal dude again, which is great. Except for the only reason that he was able to come back is because while his soul was being, you know, dragged through the lakes of fire and things down in Batur, the hag showed up. and argued with Tyr that technically Tyr was breaking a contract that was already signed for Atlas's soul when Atlas signed away those 2 years of his life. And so they had a big argument, and then the hag was like, I brought my fairy friends with me to wreck your shit if you try to, you know, go against a contract that's already been signed. You should know better. And Tyr is like, fine, screw it, whatever. I'll get him when you're done with him. And she's like, yeah, that's fine with me. So they bugger off. Atlas's soul technically belongs to the hag at that point, and she allows him to be brought back to life. So now there's this hag that kind of hangs over him a bit, which is bad. It's not good for him. It's not a good thing. Now, that being said, he's back. He's you know, good again and all of that. And some more things in the story happen, which progress forward to when he is... Well, actually, I should go back and say that the contract that Ezrith had ended up signing with Tyr, we ended up being able to nullify, thanks to some straight-up actual divine intervention, which was great. It was super good. But we got Ezrith out of that contract, and then we're heading back to the big city after having done another bit of the main quest, when we're trying to get allies for the fight against Herensuge, the Emerald Deceiver. And so we sent some requests to a bunch of the entities that we know, and one of the entities was our satyr friend, so that Atlas could get in contact with his patron and see what she could do. And Satyr Friend shows up and is like, hey, turns out we've been looking for you for a little while. Somebody in the Feywild needs you. Come with me. Pop, another portal, we all jump through, and it turns out that the hag has put out a call for me. And so we go to where the hag is after going through a maze and teaching Corey what sex is. Long story that, another day. We get to the hag's place, and the hag is like, oh, Atlas, yes, wonderful. You're the one whose soul belongs to me now. And Atlas is like, excuse me, what? And she's like, yeah, there was some stuff. This is why you were back alive and not still in Batur. And Atlas is like, okay, I guess I kind of owe you. Thanks. And the hag demanded that we hand over the infant Minotaur NPC that we had rescued earlier on, because if the infant Minotaur died, then the hag's connection to the forests in the normal world would end as well. It became very complicated. But in any case, we handed this thing over. And Atlas was given the opportunity to switch patrons at that point. The hag grandmother said, listen, you just don't go see your lady, and I'll be your patron. And that will be fine. I'll give you better powers and stuff. And Atlas was like, maybe don't want to do that, though. So, we're gonna not. Okay, thanks! And buggered off. But there's that little bit of a hazard there. Later on, we have to save the city from a bunch of undead and, you know, protect a guy from some stuff and all of that. And a possibility was given to Atlas, where Grandmother showed up and said, listen, I can make you a warlock. If you mechanically, if you multi-class into warlock right now, when you hit level 9, you'll be level 8 bard, level 1 warlock. But I will take it such that one of your previous levels becomes warlock as well. So you'll be warlock 2, bard 7. And Atlas had to take it. He had to take it, thanks to the capricious nature of him having been sort of brought up by Feywild type magic. there wasn't a lot of other choice for him. He was like, yeah, this is how we gotta do it. So the grandmother reached into his brain and changed his memories such that he never met the lady, and grandmother was always his patron, and he became a warlock. And he started looking like this. He got a different hat. He stopped needing to sleep ever, which is one of the warlock invocations that he took. And he became insane. Like, he straight up lost his mind at this point. And so, going back, we have Bard, dead, back to being Bard, possibility of being Bard Warlock with the lady as a patron, didn't take it. Possibility of being Bard Warlock with the grandmother as a patron, didn't take it. Forced to take Warlock patron grandmother. That's where we are now. Now, fast forward to where we are in the campaign right now. And this is the story that I was talking about on Discord yesterday. This is why Atlas now has a bunch of choices to make. They went into a place that is like a sort of ecumenical temple for all of the good gods, and there was a sphinx guarding this mirror, where if you gaze into the mirror, you will see who your true self actually is, which is what we've been told. But what Vincent headcanons it to be, is that your memories are ripped out of the body that you are in now. That body is disposed of, and those memories are implanted in the head of an alternate reality version of you, who is then torn into our existence to replace the old you. Mechanically, this means that I can re-roll Atlas from the ground up to be a level 9 whatever I want. So, the canon here is everyone else looks into this mirror and they see the version of them that they should be, but Atlas is seeing like 8, 9 different versions of him flickering in and out of each other, and he has to choose which one it is. Very similar to actually the beginning of Torment Tides of Numenora, which we started playing on the channel. Completely coincidental. I did not actually base it on that. Now that I'm thinking about it, that is very similar. But anyway, so now Atlas has to make this choice as to whether he goes... He stays full Bard, goes level 9 Bard, and reworks his past to be more in line with, like, what the story has built him to be. Or does he go full Warlock with Grandmother Patron and become this, like, sinister, dark character who, instead of being, like, the skirt the outside of the battle, is, like, a full-on, head-on, frickin' we're going in with melee because I've got a packed weapon now type character? Or does he go Warlock 3, Bard 6, with the Archfey Lady Patron, such that he still gets the stuff from Bard that he likes, the magical secrets that he gets to steal spells from other classes, the ability to use cutting words such that he can call other people a twat and then have them be bad at stuff, but he also gets the Warlock invocations to get Pact of the Tome that allows him to use magic from other classes more. Or does he go Bard Wizard and be the Interrupter character, where it's shown several times now in the story that Atlas is the person who stops bad stuff from happening, as opposed to causing bad things to happen to the other people. So if he goes this wizard route, then he will have focused more on abjuration and, like, the stopping of harmful spells, the prevention of damage to his party members and that kind of stuff. So he would be Bard 3 and Wizard 6 with the Abjuration School, such that he can still call people a twat, but he also gains access to counterspell and dispel magic, and special stuff for when he uses Abjuration spells to stop other people from doing stuff, in addition to spells like Shield and Mage Armor, and being the blue deck of this world, the counterspeller, the anti-magicer, that makes sure that my party's magic works, and yours doesn't. Or does he go full level 9 bard in the College of Glamour, which is one of the new ones that came out in Xanathar's Guide to Everything, where they are the bards that were literally raised in the Feywild, which would make sense for Atlas, because now that he's seeing his true self, he can see that what his memories of, like, being a normal performer and learning magic from this lady in the woods are actually just implanted memories to make him forget about the fact that he was raised in the Feywild by the lady, essentially, such that he could have a decently normal life, because technically the lady's not supposed to interfere with the dealings of the material plane according to the rules of the summer and winter courts. So that's why he is how he is now, but he could see the real thing. And of course, he would remember having been tricked by grandmother, having been dead before. He'd remember all of that clearly. He would regain the memories that grandmother took away, but retain the ones that she had implanted as well, and know which ones are the real ones and which ones are the fake ones. So he would have another great enemy, but he would be able to invoke powers that bards get from Fey, as opposed to that bards get from telling stories. Which one does he do? So that's where we are right now with my dear friend Atlas Lucky Lecturn. We're not playing D&D this week, at least not main story. We might be playing a one-shot, because DM Mike and Vera's player have to move. They're getting a new apartment, so they're moving to a new place, and it's going to be a bigger and better place for them, and so when we go to play over there, it'll be a better experience for us as well. Hopefully we'll be getting on to doing the Kingmaker stream that we were talking about before, the Crown of Madness stream, the Twitch Plays D&D stream. Hopefully that'll keep up. Since I am on break from my normal school now and don't have any other commercial shoots for at least a little while, I will be working more on trying to make more character building videos, as also, in addition to more D&December videos, I'll be playing some more games and that kind of stuff as well. So keep your eyes out for that kind of stuff. If you guys have any suggestions for videos that you want to see me do that are D&D related this month, do not hesitate to come by the Discord channel that is down in the description box. You can also contact me via Twitter or via the Facebook that's there as well. You can click the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, in addition to also clicking that stupid bell icon that'll let you know when I'm doing stuff on YouTube again. I also am doing my best to play some games on Twitch. If that's a thing that you wanna come and hang out and watch me do. I've been playing card games on there recently, so I've been doing like Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. I'll probably end up playing some like Duels of the Planeswalkers, and whatever other kind of fun card games that I can get. But yes, so thank you guys very much for coming and listening and hanging out. Now you know a lot of the story behind Atlas Lucky Lecturn, the Bard of Many Fates. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you guys... Oh, that's another thing. Sometime in the near future, I'm going to run a one-shot with players that are drawn from my audience. So keep an eye out on my social media for if you want to play in that thing. We'll be doing it off of Roll20, probably. It'll be the easiest way to do it. And we'll do that one-shot, and it will be canon to Atlas's story. So, thank you guys again very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Oh, you guys are a lot of fun. Bye!